Hi there, Eve here from Vitamin Eve Nutrition Counseling. And an Instagram friend asked a really good question. She wanted me to talk about unhealthy foods. And when she asked me that question, I really got to thinking, and I came up with this. The truth is, calling food unhealthy could be unhealthy. Let me explain why. Once we call foods unhealthy or healthy, it kind of puts it in a category of bad. You know, when we say unhealthy, for a lot of us, that equates to a bad food. And when we call foods bad, when we have that black and white thinking, it could be counterproductive for several reasons, and I want to talk about that. So my name is Eve, and I love helping people have peace with food in any situation, no matter what is happening in their lives. And today what I want to talk about is why calling food healthy and unhealthy, good or bad, could actually be counterproductive for many people. Let me explain. When we call foods unhealthy, we're essentially calling it bad for a lot of us, right? And the problem with that is, once we call foods bad, for many of us, that means, well, then do not eat it. Never have that food again. And when we do that to ourselves, it could actually cause preoccupation with that food. You know, we're thinking about what we're not allowed to have. I mean, there's even a statement, the forbidden fruit is sweeter, right? So it's not just us, it could be anybody who, once they tell themselves they're not allowed to have something, they actually may become more preoccupied with that food. Now, I want to share with you why that's a problem. Well, first of all, for people who struggle with food obsession, it could actually make it worse when you tell yourself you're not allowed to have something. Furthermore, let's say you're eating that thing for whatever reason, like you make a choice to go ahead and eat that thing that you identified as bad or unhealthy. When you finally give yourself permission to eat it, you know, there might be a lot of judgment. There might be a lot of guilt. And judgment and guilt and shame and those feelings all happen in your head. So when you're eating that food, you know, in your head, distracted with, oh, I shouldn't be eating this, or this is so bad, you're less likely to be present with the food that you're eating. And if you're not present with the food that you're eating, you're not really enjoying it. And if you're not enjoying the food, you're less likely to feel satisfied. And if you're not going to feel satisfied, it's easy to continue eating and eating and eating, often beyond the point of comfort. So one of the reasons why, you know, calling food good or bad, healthy or unhealthy could backfire is because we're preoccupied. We're in our heads, and when we're in our heads, we're not present with the food. And as you know, when you're not present with the food, it makes it easy to override your body signals and accidentally have too much. Another reason why it's problematic to call food, you know, good or bad, healthy or unhealthy, again, for many of us, it puts those foods in the should not eat, you know, when we call it a bad food. And when we tell ourselves we shouldn't eat it, if we are to actually ingest that food, the reasoning might go, well, you know, now that I messed up and had this food, I might as well keep on going. You know, how many of you have said that to yourself? I might as well keep on going, right? And so the problem with doing that, obviously, is people may end up overeating or eating excess amounts of foods or having all types of foods, you know, that could be counterproductive to their well-being. And, you know, it was just because they, you know, called something bad and accidentally ate it or purposefully ate it. Another problem with calling food bad or unhealthy is, again, if you are to eat it, you know, there's this thing that may happen in our heads that's like, you know, oh no, you know, I messed up, I ate this food, so I'm never allowed to have it again. And when we do that, when we tell ourselves, I'm never allowed to have it again, I'm going to start clean tomorrow, or I'll start clean on Monday, a sense of deprivation could set in. And when that sense of deprivation sets in, what interestingly happens, it actually causes more eating in the moment. Has that ever happened to you, that once you tell yourself, oh no, why am I eating this? You may actually end up eating more because, and I talked about this in another video, you know, how overeating may cause you to eat more, because we tell ourselves, I'll start again tomorrow, or I'll be restrictive tomorrow. And that really kicks in a sense of deprivation in the moment and could cause somebody to actually, you know, have even more of the food, or any food for that matter, because of that feeling of deprivation could be so strong. So, you know, and, you know, I want you to think of this scenario, because food is not so black or white. It's not so right or wrong. It's not so good or bad, healthy or unhealthy. It doesn't work that way. And when we put foods into these two categories, it could actually cause that black and white thinking that could be so problematic, or dichotomous thinking that could actually interfere with having a healthy relationship with food. In fact, think of this scenario. If a good friend of yours was stranded on an island where there was no food, and that they finally came to town, you're the first person to pick them up, and they asked for pizza, you wouldn't say, "Oh no, that's too unhealthy. Let's go get some broccoli." In fact, pizza is the better choice because there's more substance there for that person to eat, right? Another situation, I have several clients who may eat massive amounts of vegetables and feel bloated and uncomfortable. They may even, feel they may even get diarrhea, or may even get constipated because they have so much indigestion. So, foods, when we say, good or bad, healthy or unhealthy, we put it into these categories. It doesn't work that way. So if you do want to start eating in a more nutritious way, if you want to have a more balanced lifestyle, I recommend, not going on diets, not going online. I recommend working with somebody, especially if you struggle with things like overeating, binging, restricting, feeling out of control with food. I recommend working with a specialist who could help you find out what balanced eating really is. If you struggle with a peaceful, easy relationship with food, I recommend working with a registered dietitian or a therapist who specializes in helping people cultivate a happy, healthy, normal relationship with food. Anyway, I hope this was helpful. So what we talked about today is how calling food good or bad, healthy or unhealthy, could actually be unhealthy because of what it does to the relationship with food. And we also talked about, if you do want support in improving your relationship with food, is to reach out and to work with a specialist. Do not go on diets, do not go on online and find out, good food, bad food lists, because that could certainly be counterproductive. I also want to take a moment here to address that there are certainly people who have serious food allergies or fatal food allergies, and that's very different. That's handled very differently. I might talk about that in a future video. But for now, I just want to be clear about when we call foods healthy or unhealthy, how that could be counterproductive. And if anybody watching this wants some support with this, I'm out of town now. I'm actually in Palm Springs. This photo is in my room and I really liked it. But if you want, you could reach out to me. You can go to my website, and I'll put the links under here, and you could apply for the Food Freedom Coaching Session. It's a session with me where we could talk about some things about what it is you really want, what might be getting in your way, and the next step you could take to help you have more peace and ease and freedom around food. It's a really beautiful call. Or if you want to read my free ebook, Stop Overeating Now, I'll put the link down below. And if you like this video, I invite you to subscribe. And I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was helpful. And thanks for watching. Bye.